Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP TV 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, Jack Ruland in Skycam 16, meteorologist Tom Clark with his backyard forecast, and Tim Carlson Sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Everybody out. You have 2 hours to evacuate.
Now, if you haven't evacuated by now, you've got to get out.
June 23rd, 1972, the Wyoming Valley struck by the nation's worst natural disaster.
We are expecting to lose the battle with the dike at any time.
The water from Tropical Storm Agnes floods into everyone's lives. Pennsylvania Emergency Management says statewide 49 were killed in the 4-day flood, 68,000 homes destroyed, along with 3,000 businesses, including many in Wilkes-Barre's downtown district. Across the river in Kingston, only 20 homes escaped the wrath of Agnes.
As if the waters weren't enough, fire breaks out in downtown. Ironically, floodwaters keep firefighters from putting out the flames.
It would take millions of man-hours and $3.3 billion for the total cleanup, a staggering amount of money and time.
15 years later, the Susquehanna River is back in its banks, and downtown Wilkes-Barre looks a lot different. And today, the total redevelopment of buildings around Public Square is finished. Good evening, I'm Karen Harch, live overlooking Public Square in Wilkes-Barre. The rain is whipping here in Nolan.
And I'm Nolan Johannes, where it's dry in here, and in a moment we'll tell you about a possible way out of the West Side landfill crisis. Karen?
Today, 15 years after Agnes, the final piece of downtown Wilkes-Barre flood redevelopment was officially dedicated down there on Wilkes-Barre's Public Square. Ironic, isn't it, that the rain poured down on those who gathered at the First Eastern Plaza building on the square. A lot of people who have helped to rebuild Wilkes-Barre did not let the rain stop them from celebrating, just as they did not let Agnes leave the city to die. The featured speaker, Frank Carlucci, now National Security Advisor to President Reagan, but back in June of '72, Carlucci was President Nixon's special representative to the Wyoming Valley during the days after the flood.
The will and determination of the people of the valley to rebuild. I could not substitute money or authority for that will. I could only seek to inspire it and give you the confidence that you could come back. And indeed, you did.
And while we're celebrating the big comeback of the Valley with a heart, you may remember that a landmark department store here on Wilkes-Barre's Public Square has closed. Pomeroy's closed last night, so that leaves a hole in the downtown development. Many businesses worked so hard to come back after the Agnes flood. One of them, Stetz's Men's Store. It's been in business in Wilkes-Barre since 1911, first on East Market Street, then after a fire, and 3 weeks before the flood of '72 hit, it moved to here on South Main Street.
It's hard to describe what it looked like. It was total devastation. It looked like, hey, let's get out of here in a hurry. But when you have an 11-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son that you dream about sending to school, you say, hey, Daddy, let's buckle up and let's get back to work.
They started over from scratch, and by November of 1972, Stetz's Men's Store was back in business in Wilkes-Barre. You know, you cannot tell the story of Agnes without including some words on another flood, Dan Flood, a man some say was at least as powerful as Agnes. She did over $1 billion in damage in the Wyoming Valley alone. Wherever we turned, it was a war zone. Dan Flood did battle with the Agnes aftermath. And he had a lot of ammunition, helicopters, trucks, people to man them. Back in '72, Flood was chairman of the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee, and he carried a big stick. Through legislation, he allowed the Small Business Administration, for the only time in its history, to lend money at 1% and to forgive the first $5,000 of the loans. Flood felt his people deserved nothing less for what they'd been through.
Believe me, and you know them like I do, the same neck of woods with the same breed. They have an abiding faith in their government and their God. Now, they have.
So, why did Agnes happen? We know it certainly did rain a lot back then in '72. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark in his weather office. Tom, why so much destruction then?
Well, Karen, there are 2 important meteorological factors that led to why Agnes was so devastating to this area. Number 1, how the storm approached Pennsylvania, and number 2, how the storm behaved once it got here. Now, the storm track of Agnes was along the coast. This prevented the storm from breaking up over the Appalachian Mountains. Agnes began gaining strength over the Chesapeake Bay and tapped additional moisture from off the ocean. Now, once the storm arrived over Pennsylvania, it began an erratic looping motion, causing the storm to dump the bulk of its moisture over the mountains of Pennsylvania. The looping motion was caused by a blocking pattern of winds in the upper atmosphere. And the rainfall amounts were astounding. The heaviest rains fell directly along the Susquehanna River from Williamsport southward to Maryland. 18 inches fell in parts of Dauphin and Schuylkill counties. And all of that rain was simply runoff, since prior to the storm, the ground was already saturated by previous rains. Karen?
Thanks, Tom. When Newswatch 16 continues, we'll be back with more on a disaster called Agnes.
Plus, we'll tell you about a settlement in the offing for the West Side landfill.
Hi. I just moved in next door. Could I borrow a Diet Pepsi?
Sure. Come in. Yes. How about something else?
Listen, if you don't have a Diet Pepsi...
No, I got it. Heading up to heaven, chasing down a dream. Turning up my engine, attention screen. I'm on the air. Midnight.
You okay in there?
Here's your Diet Pepsi.
That must be my roommate, Danny.
Danny?
Hi, I'm Danielle. You got another Diet Pepsi?
Sure.
Diet Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
As I mentioned earlier, one of the people very instrumental in helping out all of us flood victims is Frank Carlucci, and he's in town. He's joining us live now from down there on the ground on Public Square in Wilkes-Barre. First of all, thanks for coming back to the valley with a heart. Sorry we couldn't have better weather for you. Tell me, now that we're reliving the memories of the flood of '72, what's the strongest memory you have?
Well, obviously, Karen, the strongest memory is the incredible devastation that I saw when I first arrived. But the second strongest memory is the spirit of the people, their determination to come back, and the magnificent job they did in rebuilding the valley.
You know, a lot has changed over the past 15 years. When you're here to see it, you kind of let it just kind of wash away. But you've been away for a while, and now you're coming back. What are some of the impressions you have now of the revitalized downtown Wilkes-Barre and the Wyoming Valley?
Well, of course, one can't help but be impressed with the buildings that have been put up, the bricks and mortar. It's impressive. It's indeed bordering on the spectacular. But the real sense that I get is people have that self-confidence and determination now. The unemployment rate is coming down, businesses are coming to the valley, and you don't hear anymore, gee, can we make it? It's going to be a problem. What you hear are statements of complete confidence in the future, and that's very rewarding to hear.
Mr. Carlucci, Nolan Johannes back at our studios. If Agnes would ever happen again in our area, would the federal government today be able to give the type of aid that you helped to bring to this area back then?
Well, I would have to say that it was a rather extraordinary program, not because of me, but because of the circumstances of the time. Certainly the federal government has an appropriate role and would come to the assistance of local communities, and a lot has been learned since Agnes. But if you're talking in terms of sheer quantity of resources, given the budget problems of today, I think it's doubtful that you would have the munificence that you enjoyed in those days.
Mr. Carlucci, thank you for being with us tonight, and I'm sure that you feel very, very good about what you've seen this afternoon.
I do indeed. Thank you. It's a pleasure being with you.
All right, thank you. In other news tonight, there may be a way out of the closing of an important landfill in Luzerne County. The state DER wants the West Side landfill to close next Tuesday. Now, the landfill operator says, well, it can settle things with DER if it can find a backer and a $5 million bond. Newswatch 16's Mark Davis is live in Skycam right now over the landfill in Plymouth Township.
Nolan, the weather has forced us indoors. We're in the newsroom right now. The authorities are going to ask the Luzerne County Commissioners for the backing of that bond. The authorities have got some financial problems of its own and can't back it itself. so it must ask for help. The Department of Environmental Resources wants that guaranteed because if the next two dumping areas of the Westside landfill are never open, the department wants to make sure the money is available to clean up and close the site. The landfill has been negotiating with DER for weeks, and the bond is the biggest stumbling block that remains. Landfill attorney Philip Medico told reporters this afternoon the county could be the answer.
We're going to put together a proposal to the county to render and seek their financial assistance in an effort to maintain and continue the operations at the Westside Landfill Authority.
Luzerne County Commissioner Frank Januszewski told me this afternoon he hadn't even officially been told about the meeting, but he is willing to sit down and listen to a proposal. It most likely would include some kind of county control of the landfill to ensure its $5 million investment. Now, DER told me late this afternoon that it's taking a wait-and-see attitude between what happens between the county and the landfill. But one DER official did say that there are still more than just the money that has to be ironed out, some minor issues. But taking it to the county is a step in the right direction, according to this DER official. I'm Mark Davis, Newswatch 16, reporting live from the newsroom.
Recycling is at work in Lycoming County and an uncertain future for a strike. These are some of the stories on tonight's Pennsylvania in a Minute. Newspaper recycling will start again tomorrow in Lycoming County. The announcement was made this morning. The collection will save dumping tons of paper in Lycoming County landfill. Residents can take newspapers to a bin at 1500 West 3rd Street in Williamsport starting tomorrow. The strike against the International Paper Company in Clinton County is in its 4th day. No settlement in sight. This Saturday, the company says it'll withdraw its contract proposal that the union rejected. A Mechanicsburg woman was seriously injured in a one-car accident on Interstate 81 in Luzerne County this morning. That southbound highway had to be closed to allow the Life Flight helicopter to take her to Geisinger Medical Center. And a Scranton man is hospitalized in fair condition tonight after an accident in the south side this morning. Police say 22-year-old Ronald Ciccone crashed his motorcycle into a car. He's expected to be charged with several traffic violations. And that is Pennsylvania in a Minute. And the Weather Watch will be next with our chief meteorologist, Tom Clark. Tom?
Just a few nuisance showers around Nolan, right in the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area.
That's
Wouldn't
too
you
bad.
know it? Now, when we come back, I'll tell you what I think is going to happen here tomorrow. Now, you're watching Newswatch 16 on WNEP TV, and we're proud to serve Wilkes-Barre and all of Luzerne County.
Our people make a difference at Monroe.
On top of getting the best price at Monroe Muffler Brake, you get the best people, too. Like 10-year veteran Dan Smith. Dan worked his way up through the ranks. And now that he's a manager, he likes to run his store the same way he'd expect to be treated as a customer. The best prices aren't all you'll find at Monroe.
People make a difference.
People like Dan Smith.
At Monroe.
Listen, we've got great news.
Especially if you've got kids.
Your Quality Plus 4 dealer has an entire family of wagons for your family. There's Escort for the small, Taurus for the medium, Country Squire for the large, Aerostar or Club Wagon for extra-large families, whatever your need.
There's a Ford wagon to fit your family.
Get 3-9 financing or cash back on Escort wagon at your Quality Plus Ford dealer.
When only the best will do. Quality Plus Ford dealers and you.
I'll tell you what, standing out here in the rain on top of the Bicentennial Building in Wilkes-Barre brings back memories of 15 years ago when my family and I were evacuated from our home in Kingston. Let's go out to the backyard. Tom Clark, you have to make this stop.
I wish I could, Karen. It will over the next hour or so. The wind is picking up in the backyard now, and those showers, isolated as they are, will be dissipating very soon. Now, beginning in Wayne County tonight in Tyler Hill, Ralph Smith tells me 67 degrees at his place, a little bit of sprinkling of rain. Jimmy Gallagher in Pottsville has a 74, kind of muggy down there tonight. And Bob Bostian in Freeburg tells me 78, and the sun is out with some cloud cover as well. And there's a view today along the Susquehanna from Skycam 16. Look at those low, straight as clouds. A lot of haze and humidity in the air today. 70 out back now, the humidity 85%. Soon to drop just a bit. The wind from the north at 8, the barometer rising from 29.85. High temp here today, 71 degrees, 68 the low this morning, not much of a range. 94, the record high set back in 1965. Now, the Skywatch 16 live Doppler radar. This is the 25-mile scan. This is the only area where it's raining. And there goes Eastern taking off at the airport. A few showers down southeast of Mountaintop, and just a few light showers in the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area, and one shower just west of Scranton there. And they're moving from the northeast to the southwest, but kind of dissipating as they go, so most places won't see any rain this evening. And here's my forecast for tonight. A clearing trend later on tonight, cooler than the past couple of nights. A front is moving through, and the wind will pick up overnight, as it's doing now in the backyard. Temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s tonight. The wind from the northeast overnight at about 12. Sunrise time tomorrow morning, 5:31, and 8:40. Sunset tomorrow evening. After the skies begin to clear, there'll be some fog developing overnight tonight. Some of it could be dense. A nice sunny day, but another warm day tomorrow. Low to mid-80s should do it. I don't expect any thunderstorms through tomorrow night. Thursday, partly sunny, mid-80s. Then on Friday, Nolan, more showers coming back in, maybe some thunderstorms then. And then cooling off as we head through the coming weekend.
Okay, we'll be waiting for all of it.
Okay.
See you on the 11th. Tim Carlson is next with the Sports Watch with opening day, a little late, at Wimbledon. Plus, summertime football and one last chance to play for some high school seniors.
Make 1987 the year you take the plunge. At Olympic Pools, we can make your backyard a wonderful vacation world. You'll find a complete line of above-ground and in-ground pools, sensational spas, and pool essentials. Olympic Pools, your swimming pool and spa headquarters for 21 years, assures you the best in quality and service with 4 locations to serve you. Olympic Pools, nobody does it better.
It's a sure save celebration.
Celebrate with savings during our anniversary celebration, and you'll find great savings like these. Hunt's tomato sauce, 6 8-ounce cans, $1. Breakstone sour cream, 16-ounce container, $1.09. Turkey Hill ice cream, $2.39. And boneless New York strip steaks, $3.99 a pound. Join the Sure Save celebration at a locally owned supermarket near you.
Well, the weather they wanted at Wilkes-Barre today evidently finally came to Wimbledon, right?
Yeah, they finally got going today, as a matter of fact. Nolan, you've heard the old expression, a day late and a dollar short. Well, that's a half-truth when it comes to this year's Wimbledon tennis tournament. They finally got going a day late, but there's certainly no money shortage on the tennis circuit these days. For example, this well-to-do 19-year-old West German is going for his 3rd straight men's singles title at the All-England Tennis Club. Number 1 seed Boris Becker made short work of Karel Novacek of Czechoslovakia, 6-4, 6-2, 6-4. Boris took less than 2 hours to win and move past the first round and get to win more money. Maybe things were a little tougher for 2nd seed Yvonne Lendl, who was taken to the limit several times by unknown West German Christian Sacchiano. Score at 6-2, 3-6, 6-3, 7-5. And not a bad day for the men's 4th seed either. Stefan Edberg of Sweden whitewashed fellow countryman Stefan Eriksson 6-love, 6-love, 6-love. In the first perfect score since the Open era of tennis began in 1968 at Wimbledon. It was just the only, can I get this right again? And it was only the 3rd time that the triple love score in Wimbledon was done. More tonight. I'll tell you, some days it doesn't pay to come to work. One of the great summer traditions of this area coming up later this week as the finest football players from the Wyoming Valley Football Conference meet in the 36th annual Unico East-West Classic. Now, the game is 8 o'clock this Thursday night at Wyoming Valley West Stadium in Kingston. Sports Watch 16's Albie Oxenreiter caught up with both teams practicing for what's always a showcase of exceptional talent.
The sun was setting in the western sky over Wilkes-Barre's Memorial Stadium. But on the artificial turf below, the Wyoming Valley Conference Eastern All-Stars were still going strong. It was one more night of practice as the East prepared for its 8th straight Unico win.
1, 2, 3, let's go East!
Must be nice to have so many great athletes.
Well, there's fine athletes. I mean, really, I think more important than that, there's some kids with a lot of class and a lot of integrity and dignity, and I think that makes it worthwhile and rewarding for the coaches.
It's a fun and work week. You know, you have fun while you work, so it really combines both of them well, and it really is a lot of fun.
In a short 10-day practice span, the biggest challenge might belong to the coaches. It's their job to take 36 players from different high school systems and for one night make them win as one team. The rules are a little bit different in this game. There's no blitzing and there's no razzle-dazzle. There's also a 10-point rule, which means any team down by more than 10 gets the ball back even after they score. That all means that it could be close in the end, and kicking could make a big difference.
I think this is going to be a very close game.
I don't see either side having a dominant factor either way. I think that kicking may do it.
But it really doesn't matter who wins this game on the field, because off the field, everybody wins. On Thursday, players, coaches, and fans will all be contributors to a worthwhile cause. Albie Oxenrider, Sports Watch 16, Kingston.
And I know a young lady who'll be rooting for the Valley West players in that game. Karen?
Young, thank you, Tim. When Newswatch 16 continues, Mike Stevens shares his memories of Agnes.
We got style, we got flash, Mandarin orange is making us splash. We got the juice when you got a passion. Slice has the orange that tastes simply smashing. We got the juice, we got the juice,
10% juice.
we got the taste nobody else has. We got the juice.
Diet too.
Slice, slice.
Finally tonight, the summer of '72, I turned 15, so exactly half of my life is gauged before the flood, the other half what happened after the flood. Newswatch 16's Mike Stevens also lived around here, and his memories of Agnes are still strong.
When I think about it, what I remember most about Agnes is the smell after the water went down. I knew that smell from fishing in the Susquehanna. It came if you stepped in the mud at the water's edge. It was the smell of the river bottom. Right after the flood, the river bottom was suddenly miles wide. A lot of us thought the river would never flood. We thought the sandbags would hold it back, that this would all turn out to be just a bit of excitement on a June day. Some of us thought that up until the time we had to be airlifted off a roof and taken maybe to Pocono Downs. The Susquehanna had come out of its bed, and it was on a tear. While away from your home, you couldn't be sure what the river was doing to it. When you finally did get back, you found out and wished you hadn't. Money came in, all kinds of help, and for that we were all grateful, but no one could replace the small things the river took. The out-of-focus, poorly framed black and white photos of Grandma, a family Bible, a school yearbook, a child's toy, all gone forever. Even as the June heat baked the river clay hard, we began to rebuild, and we came back in pretty good shape. Still, when the rain's heavy and the river rises, we all wonder if it just might happen again. The floodwater may have gone down, but the flood is still here. I'm Mike Stevens, Newswatch 16.
Brings back memories. Well, Nolan, I'm going to go squeegee off myself. I'll see you later.
Okay, Karen, we'll see how you do with your hair tonight on the update
Thanks.
at 11. For the team, thanks for being with us. Enjoy your evening.